56 degrees now being 8:09. Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. And I am so happy to introduce you to my guest on the phone, New York Times best-selling author and a personal favorite author of mine. Kristan Higgins is here. Hi, Kristan.
Hi, Kate. I'm so happy to be back.
Oh, I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. And today is a really special day. I didn't realize all of the timing factors when we set this up with your publisher, but your new novel comes out today.
Yes, A Little Ray of Sunshine.
A Little
Perfect
Ray of Sunshine.
Gray day.
Yeah, yes, that's true. And I have to say I'm honored that your publisher sent me an advanced copy, so I've already read it. It's, your earlier books were always fun. They were romances, and there's always romance here and there, but now you've gotten into, your books are about normal people, and you focus more on the women probably, but normal people. I get tired of murder mysteries where look, it's another dead body that we've just stumbled across. That hasn't happened for 5 whole minutes. Yeah, stop. Your books show me normal people, although maybe some of the things that happen to them are not quite normal. But let's talk about A Little Ray of Sunshine. You want to give us a quick plot synopsis?
Sure. This is the story of Harlow Smith. She's a 30-something bookstore owner on Cape Cod, and she's built this very quiet, pleasant, uncomplicated life. She's the oldest of 5 siblings. She lives above the store. She keeps an eye on her 90-year-old grandfather, and she has this great, pleasant life. And then one day, a kid walks into her store, and she gets this weird tingling feeling. It's the child she placed for adoption 18 years ago. Oh. And she has seen him since the day of his birth. And she also never told her family that she got pregnant her freshman year of college. She went to school in Colorado. She lives in Wellfleet, Mass. And so her whole image and her whole life is just exploded in that moment. And she gets this chance to connect with her son. And she has to kind of redefine herself. She's a mother. And previously she'd just been kind of the boring, responsible one of the family.
Yeah, boring and responsible. Yeah, you'd think that boring and responsible would be good, but it makes an excellent subject for a book, though, because it turns out she's not boring at all.
But no, she's not. And a lot of this book is about how you are in the eyes of your family versus how you are as you become an adult, redefining your role. You're the quiet, responsible one we never had to think about or worry about. And then is that the person you always want to be, right?
Yeah.
So as you grow up and you kind of find yourself, you either kind of fall back on those family roles or you create something new. And in Harlow's case, Matthew, her son, helps her create something new. And the book is also about Monica, who raised Matthew, his adoptive mother, and her point of view. Her son has neglected to tell her and her husband that he chose Cape Cod for a particular reason for their family vacation. And so he does this all rogue, all on his own. He's almost 18. He's a teenage boy. He thinks he knows things.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's thrust into this situation of their family vacation being all about Harlow. And it's also, a story of adoption from the point of view of the birth mother, adoptive mother, and in another case, a woman who's been adopted herself back in the late 1950s, and she works at the bookstore. Her name is Cynthia, and she has very different views on adoption. She just thinks, thank God I was adopted. I want nothing to do with my birth mother. And then she learns a few things along the way, too. So it was a really... Go ahead.
What I like whenever I read your books, there's generally not a villain, but there still is conflict. Right. And even the person that starts out not likable, you say, oh, yeah, well, that's the villain. you explain why they are that way. You
Yeah,
explain the
I think
fears, that
everybody
turn
has
them.
their
Yeah.
they have their own insecurities and they have their own narrative on their life. Cynthia is she is very unlikable, but gosh, it is so much fun to write an unlikable character, because she's judgmental and snippy and superior, and it's just really fun to kind of go there and let her say things that, I would never say or that my characters would never say, just to have her be so openly disdainful of the great unwashed of the rest of us.
But
So
but then you
she's a lot of
explain
fun
why. She was
to write.
wonderful. I liked her a lot, even when I didn't like her.
Yeah, right. And I do believe in redemption. I mean, that's why writing fiction is so much fun, because you can get your characters to grow and change for the better. And in real life, you can't always do that.
Well, yeah. Do you find sometimes that your characters all of a sudden are doing something that you hadn't planned out, that you hadn't expected?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, I would say the first 200 pages of my book, I'm just writing, and I have no idea what the book is about or where the characters are going to evolve into. And then about page 260, they start taking on a life of their own. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh, okay, this is who that person is. Now I understand.
this is the story that I meant to tell. Okay.
Yes.
What is
Yes.
your favorite book of all that you've written so far? What is the one that just holds a special place for you?
Well, I think it's always a complicated question. It's like being a mother and saying which is my favorite child. It depends on the moment.
Okay.
Right now, a little ray of sunshine is my precious newborn, and
Yes.
I I love this book. I love the themes of motherhood in it, of love between mother and child. I love the kind of friends to lovers romance that we have in there with Harlow and one of her high school classmates who's nursed a crush on her for these many years.
Yep.
But when I look at my body of work, there are a couple that stand out. I loved Pack Up the Moon.
I was hoping you were going to say that one. That one still makes me cry.
That's a real tearjerker. It's about a young widower, and his wife is diagnosed with a terminal illness before they've celebrated their first anniversary. And that's a real tearjerker, but it's also, I think, incredibly uplifting and sort of a map of not just how to grieve, but how to love, how to be in a healthy, supportive relationship, in sickness and in health, and how to move forward when life throws you such a terrible swerve. Because everybody will lose someone, right? And
Sure. Yeah.
and grieve and think like, I don't know how I can ever be happy again. And Pack Up the Moon is kind of a study in that. And I think back of some of my early work and how fun those books were to write. It's always, for an author, it's always like, that book came so easily to me. I love it. But the book you struggle over probably get the best reviews, but you think like, oh my gosh, I never thought I was going to finish that book,
Oh, that one was just so beautiful. And Catch of the Day is another favorite of mine. And I
Oh,
just run through so many of yours. And here we are today celebrating the release of A Little Ray of Sunshine. And now I want you to let people know what you're doing to benefit St. Jude's Hospital with book sales,
yeah.
please.
Well, our publishers always pressure us to, get people to pre-order the book or buy it the first week. And because I'm, a nice Catholic girl at heart, I feel very guilty asking anyone to do something like that. So I donate 10% of the book sale, which is essentially my cut, to St. Jude Children's Hospital, where they treat life-threatening diseases in kids. And no family has ever turned away because they can't pay at St. Jude's. It's completely funded if that's what you need. And, they're working to cure these cancers and leukemias, and I can't think of a better cause in the world. So I just say I'll donate that to St. Jude, and you can feel good about supporting a wonderful cause and give yourself a nice book to read for the summer.
And you have a great beach reading book, or sitting at home curled up with the dog on your lap kind of book, because that's how I read it. Kristan Higgins is with us, New York Times best-selling author with her new novel out today, A Little Ray of Sunshine. We'll talk with her more in just a moment on Wall. It's 8:21 at Wall Radio. Got 56 degrees here this morning. And with me on the phone, Kristan Higgins, whose new novel, A Little Ray of Sunshine, is available today everywhere. You could pre-order it before, but now it's on its way to you. So this is a great thing. You can order it. What's your favorite place for people to order your book, Kristan?
Wherever they want to. I have links to just about every outlet on my website, and if you want to go through your independent bookstore, I've got a link to IndieBound, so you can do that too. So
that's a wonderful thing. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I had another local author on the air, and she was telling me that she wrote her latest book in about a year, and it was only her, I think, third novel. And she said she had the book publisher pretty much standing over her, telling her, you got to write, you got a contract, you got to get this out. Do you have that kind of urgency when you write? What's it like, your writing experience?
It also takes me about a year, and I have no excuse. I don't have another job. And I do say that, publishing is a very hungry beast to work for. They always want more and as fast as you possibly can. And they, they think that, they don't take into consideration like, my sister's visiting, or, I have a grandchild. So you have to really, I think, be careful, as in any career, to have your personal life, to make time for the things that make life so great. Get out in the sunshine a little. My doctor just recently wrote me a prescription for sunshine. She's like, Kristan, you have to get outside more, because I'm always sitting with my laptop. And I'm like, I'm just sitting on the porch couch. Nope.
No, it doesn't. No. But
I work way too much. But yeah, it takes me about a year, because I tend to spend about 3 months pre-writing, I guess you could call it, or you could call it procrastination, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I'm good at that. Yeah.
But I researched the topics in my book. So for A Little Ray of Sunshine, adoption from all of the angles.
Yes.
The adoptee, the birth mother, the adoptive family, and also just, some of the legalities involved. What would it be like in, 18 years ago if you were giving a baby to another family? What state, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of in-depth information that I like to cover. Whether or not it makes it to the pages, I like to be an informed author. And then I spend about maybe 5 or 6 months on the first draft, and then I revise it a lot. I always say, send in your best work. Don't send in a sloppy first draft.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, but I know you've been with your editor. You always send your preface always mentions, thank you to my editor, and you've got readers that check it, and you help them. And I know you're very close with some other writers as well. So I know that there are a lot of people that get to test read and advise you, and I bet nobody has much advice for you. But I have a request now. I need you to consider going to Hollywood and writing for the movies, please, because I was watching one of the many movies in the Marvel universe, and it was so full of plot, except it wasn't. It was so full of importance that I really didn't know what was going on, and I don't think of myself as a stupid person, but I was thinking they need someone like you to write a story that people can follow and enjoy and get invested and involved in, but instead we have, what we have. And I'm just not happy with what they're doing. Would you ever write a screenplay?
Well, first of all, I would never cross the picket line, and the Writers Guild is
I do understand.
Right now, so
yes,
mad respect for them. But I have never written a screenplay. I have had some books optioned, and I like to hand it over to the professionals at that point. But I know what you mean. There are so many movies about car crashes and superheroes and Transformers and things like that. And the reason for that is because most people who buy a movie theater ticket and sit in the movies are 14-year-old boys. That's the biggest demographic
there
of
you
moviegoers.
go. Okay.
So also they look at worldwide sales. So while maybe Aquaman might not have, been a huge hit here,
Yeah, but I watched it
America,
because
it might be great in China or Russia or something like
that. I watched it just because Jason Momoa,
Yeah, I mean, time well spent, Kate.
Well, yeah. Yeah. However, him in Conan, I just saw Conan that he made, I don't know how many years ago, and there was no plot. It was not fun, not like the Arnold version. It was still fun to watch him, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I love the kind of movie that you're describing, too, about people, kind of the Nancy Meyers vibe of these are people of varying ages. I love writing a multi-generational cast myself, so in Little Ray of Sunshine, we have the 90-year-old grandfather.
Yes.
We've got the 65-year-old cousin. We've got my 30-something heroine. We've got the teenager. And I love that, in any kind of story, I want to hear from a wide array of humanity.
Because that's the way the real world is.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like you know the real world pretty well. Pretty well. You live a fairy tale life in many ways. I read all the time about your wonderful marriage and your perfect children and your ideal grandchild and your sainted mother, and I'm so happy for you that the way everything has come together with your writing.
Okay. Yeah, and fairy tale is a nice way to put it. Of course, it's just I'm very lucky and happy. I love my husband. My kids are great. And my grandson is indeed perfect.
Well, see, that helps. Yes, I get it. Perfect in every way is just fine.
But that's also, kind of the crux of my books, is what it looks like on the outside and what you deal with in realities. Nobody has a perfect life, and nobody is, wakes up happy and sunshiny every day. And I love to explore that image versus reality and how you can kind of marry the two and be authentic and acknowledge the difficulties that you have, but not let them drown you.
Yes.
And that's, again, fiction is just so rewarding in that respect, because every one of my characters will go through something in the pages of this book and confront those insecurities of the past or their childhood and tackle them and overcome them. And in the end, they're the same person, just a little better and stronger and braver and happier because they fought for it. They made it happen.
That's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for coming on the air with us today. Kristan Higgins and her latest novel, A Little Ray of Sunshine, out today. Thank you, Kristan. I will keep reading your notes on Facebook. I love your blog, and I will keep reading your books and rereading them. I recommend you to everyone.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Thank you. Here too, Kristan. It's 8:29 at Wall Radio. Time for a news update. We'll start off with CBS.